Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Elsaby and today I want to speak to you a bit about fitting, and I'm going to show you some of my fitting books that I've got, my pattern fitting books. I had such a good response on my previous videos where I've actually shown you some of my books that I've got in my library, and I've had people that's phoned me and asked me about the books, and I know a lot of them came back and said that they have ordered the books online as well. I mostly order my books on loot.co.za and also Take-A-Lot, but I do find that the Loot sometimes is a little bit cheaper than Take-A-Lot. So I'm just going to show you a bit of my pattern fitting books, but I first wanted to speak to you about pattern fitting. So the reason I sew for myself is that I can never ever find any clothes out there in the retail shops that fits my body. Sometimes it feels for me as if I've got someone's top body and someone else's bottom of the body, because I've got smaller shoulders and a very small waist, and then I've got bigger hips and bigger legs. So for me to find ready-to-wear clothing has always been a mission my whole life. And that's what prompted me to get into sewing. At first, I sewed a lot with my commercial patterns, and then you come to an age where that pattern just doesn't fit you right anymore, and I've got to start doing a lot of alterations. So from there on, I decided to do rather pattern design, and I did a lot of courses in that on pattern design, and I discovered the Surfer design system. Before I discovered it, I must tell you, I've used so many other systems that I've tried. And when I discovered Linda's videos, I started following her online, and I thought, wow, I've got to try this. And just looking at the whole system, how it worked with all the videos that you can see on YouTube, I decided to just investigate it a little bit more, because at my shop, at the Bernina shop in Edenvale, I've always got customers coming in because they know I enjoy my sewing, and they'll come in with their commercial patterns and they'll ask me about fit and to help them make, change or alter the pattern to fit them. So that's why I started with the Surfer Designs. I'm the agent in South Africa for Surfer Designs, and I must say I'm enjoying it. I much rather prefer to sew with my basic sloper and design anything that I see. But I still have a lot of commercial patterns. So I also want to still use my commercial patterns. I can use it with my Surfer Designs blueprint, but I can also just alter it a little bit to fit my body, and that's why I've got all my fitting books. I also have a lot of people that contact me to help them with fitting. So I've bought 3 books that I'm going to show you now. And I'm going to show you my favorite one last. I've got, as I said, 3 books. One I bought, I thought, it's more of a textbook almost that they use overseas in their fashion design schools. And it's quite technical. For me, I like visual. I like to see photos and that. So my favorite book that I'm going to show you has got a lot of photos in it. So I'm going to take you through my books that I've got. The one is called Fitting and Pattern Alterations. That is the textbook one. Then I've also got Pattern Fitting with Confidence and the Complete Photo Guide to Perfect Fitting, which is my best one. So every time when I do my Module 1 classes at my shop and we go more into the basic pattern fitting and pattern design, I always show this book to everybody, and I always recommend it and say, you know what, if you're going to sew for yourself, get yourself this book. It just takes you step by step, and it makes that fitting process almost easier, because it's not a sketch, it's actually a photo, and you can literally see the drag lines where it is, and then you can see the pattern alteration that you need to make. So I'm going to just today talk to you about my books, and then what I'll do next time, we'll do with our next video, I'm going to do another tips video on an overlocker where I'm going to take you through flat locking. I love flat locking stitch on my overlocker, so that will be for our next video. I was in 2 months, am I going to do my books first or the flat locking for you? But with everybody that's been contacting me, especially this week, a lot of people have been telling me, oh, I've started receiving my books, I'm loving the books. So I thought, okay, let's just do another book review for you and talk to you about fitting. Now, I can ask so many people, and the first thing that I always get, and I'm talking now about dressmakers, I can ask them, what is your number one problem when you are sewing for yourself? And everybody says pattern fitting, to get that alterations done. I've read a bit on your commercial patterns today. As I said, I am Sherfa Designs agent, but today I'm also going to be talking about commercial patterns. Now, commercial patterns are all made on standard measurements. They take your bust, your waist, and your hip measurement. And from there, and let's just say most of those that's got a bust dot as well will cater for a B cup size. So if you are a lady with a C or a D or a bigger cup size, you have to make a full bust adjustment. Otherwise, you're going to sit with a problem where you are measuring on the bust area to fit it over your bust area, but then your shoulders, you'll see that the shoulder the seam almost comes to your arm over here. So you have to do adjustments so that you're still working with your shoulder length and just getting a bigger cup size. So the one book that I'm going to show you is the Nancy Zieman book, where she recommends that, I'm just sitting up a bit so you can see, where she says measure on your high bust measurement, and then from there alter. She does almost like a pivot and a slide to adjust the patterns. So I'll show you that book as well. But I would say 95% of us ladies out there that's sewing for ourselves today are having fit problems with commercial patterns. We just cannot take that pattern out of the envelope and just go ahead and sew it. You are going to waste your fabric. So, and an interesting thing, I actually did read an article on these standard measurements. For instance, Vogue has never changed their standard pattern size from about the 1960s. They started using their standard measurements at that stage. And if you look at us today, look at us ladies today, we don't have the same bodies as what the ladies had in that time. But because they are set up with those standard measurements, obviously they've got their block patterns already in those sizes. They've got all their mannequins in that sizes. So they've just stuck to it. And the interesting thing was that I read was that Sandra Bettino, which is a American pattern designer as well, and she does a lot of courses overseas. I did mention one of her books previously, which was the Fabric Savvy one. So I did speak about Sandra Bettino before. But she actually, in her book that I read, because I've got a lot of her books, one book that I read, she actually said she went to Vogue and she discussed it with them and said, you know what, your pattern measurements for today isn't for today's women. And after all the discussions, they then told Sandra Bettino and they said, you know what, you then come and we'll give you some place in our magazine or in our catalog, and you design patterns for us according to what you would say today's measurements are. So if you go and look at a Vogue catalog, you will see that there is a section there that's called Today's Fit, and all Sandra Bettino's patterns are in there. I've tried some of her patterns and I've always had a good fit with it. She also doesn't go and do a size 10, 12, 14, anything like that. Hers is all measurements as A, B, C, D, which for me is actually quite nice, because at the end of the day, you know what, those sizing that we get for women, some of us can be quite sensitive. I do find that people do get sensitive if you measure them and you say, oh, but you're size 18 but I buy size 14 clothing and they're ready to wear. You know what? Unfortunately, your ready to wear sizing and your pattern sizing isn't the same. So I do find people do get a bit upset when you say, okay, you've got to make a bigger size. So I love her idea of rather saying it's size A, B, C, D, whatever it is. So go have a look at the Vogue catalogs in the fabric shops, or go online as well. Go look at the Sandra Bettino patterns. And you know what, it's quite a nice fit that she's got. You'll see her measurements are totally different to the normal Vogue patterns that is out there. So I would say if I buy Vogue, I do love Vogue patterns. I tend to sometimes buy some of hers. I don't like all her styles, I must be honest, but I do like some of her patterns. I've got a couple of her pants patterns that has been discontinued already, but which is such a great fit as well. So go and have a look at that. So one other thing that I did want to mention is as well that it's just stuff that I read, guys. I love reading articles online about fashion, about today's ideas and all that. And one thing that I did see, and it was actually quite interesting, because I went and I Googled why is the ready-to-wear patterns that sizing different to our patterns that we buy. So ready to wear, if I'm a size 10, I might be a 14 or a 16 in my pattern that I'm going to buy. And it was actually quite interesting. They called it vanity sizing. What is happening is that the ready to wear, to make us feel good, they know how us as women are thinking, and to make us feel good, they actually changed the sizing, and they made the sizing actually a smaller number, where all the pattern measurements that we are getting out there is actually the actual sizes, because remember, those standard measurements has been along for a long time. It's really the ready-to-wear industry and those factories that said, well, how are we going to sell more to these people? And they basically changed the sizing, which was, for me, I thought, you know what, you guys are cheating, but it's actually a good advertisement for him, because you going into the shop and I fit in a size 12, and in the meantime, I'm a size 16 in my Vogue pattern or anything like that. So it was just interesting for me to read on this vanity sizing as well. There's just so much information for us today. We are so lucky with Google and all that. I love going and Googling stuff and going on YouTube and watching stuff. I'm forever learning. I can't tell you when last I actually read fiction, because I'm forever into my craft books. I've even got paint books and all that, because I love painting as well. I'm not so great an artist, but you know what, I'm learning. But I just love the creative side. It just stimulates my mind. And I know a lot of you out there are sitting there now and you're watching this and you say, oh, but I'm also doing other crafts. I'm also painting, or I'm doing decoupage, or I'm doing, the jewelry making, anything like that. And I think that's just us creative people. We want to try everything. So maybe at a stage as well, if you guys want to, just leave a comment. If you would like to see some of my art books that I've got as well, I'll be happy to share them with you at some stage. But I'm just going to pause for a moment so that I can just set up my camera again so that I can show you a close-up of my books. Okay, so I'm going to show you 3 of my books. This one over here is the most, my best fitting book. It is really the most used book. You will also see it's been turned so many times. I've got the pattern fitting with Nancy Zieman, which I find is not as detailed, but it is quite a lovely book for beginners. And then this one I bought for myself last year, and I don't know, in a way I'm actually sorry I bought this one. For me it is overly technical. I'm just going to open a couple of pages for you to see, but you can see it's really like a textbook for me. Let's just go down a little bit. Like a square shoulder adjustment, and it's got a bit of writing, and look, it's got all the sketches and that. I don't know, I'm just going to browse through for you guys to see, but I've tried reading this book, and they've always got your figure evaluation, and then your fitting problems, and then if it's on ready to wear, alteration, and a trial garment alteration and that. So it's just, I don't know, it's not specific information that I'm wanting. And because I design with Surfer Designs, I really have just certain issues that I've got to sort out. I don't have all the issues to sort out that's in this book. Because the Surfer Designs was already working on your shoulder measurement, all that. And I can't really see this for someone that's using commercial patterns. So I would say give this one a skip. If you ever see it on Amazon or Loot or whatever, don't waste your money with that one. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Then this one I've had for years, since I started sewing, the pattern fitting with Nancy Zieman. So the Nancy Zieman one, as I said, she works with commercial patterns. Let's just open it up. So she is working with the commercial patterns. And she takes you through doing your sizing on there, because most of us do our sizing for commercial patterns on a full bust measurement. And here you'll see she's telling you to actually do it on the high bust measurement. And then she's got this measurement fitting chart for you to choose your sizing. So the sizing is totally different the way she chooses it. And there's just a bit of ideas on your measuring for your commercial patterns. And then she's got that pivot and slide method. Let's just see basic fitting changes that you'll need to do. And she literally, I'm just going to go one page back. she always measures where the stitching line is. So if you are 1.5 centimeters, you've got to go in if you've got 1.5 centimeter seam allowance, and those will be the pivot points where she'll put it down and she'll pivot it out. So if you're a smaller shoulder and a bigger bust, then you will pivot it out to your measurement. Also go have a look. She's got on YouTube, she's got information on this book where she's showing you videos, but you'll see everything is a point and a pivot. Look at that. So if I need to go in a little bit, I'm just going to go through just to show you some other stuff here. Let's say for instance with sleeves and that. So if you need to widen your sleeve, you would go trace your sleeve pattern as it is, go measure and mark out exactly how much you need to add, and then she pivots it to that side, and then you'll see once she's drawn it there, she just, I don't know, it's just a pivot way. So this is a very easy way for beginners that's really not into too much of pattern fitting, that's actually battling a little bit with their pattern alterations, because this gives you the minimum alteration if you've got to shorten and lengthen. She slides her pattern up and down. So I'm just gonna just do this so you guys can see. Sorry, I'm trying to get this in there. So all of this, and she'll talk you through. She's got, it's nice, like for a sway back, she's got charts everywhere with all the alterations. So for beginners, I find this is really such a good book to work with, and she covers everything from pants to your tops to skirts, everything here. You can see here she's doing the skirts. So again, everything is slide up or down or pivot, especially I want to show you on the pants. So here she's doing the measurements you need for the pants. So if you've got a longer crotch, then she'll slide it up and down. So I'm just going slowly through, but this for beginners, if you started and you're a beginner and you're working with commercial patterns, this is, I would say, a nice to have book. This is just fine tuning, fitting issues and that, where she covers a couple of things for skirts, for pants, all of that. So if you've got certain drag lines, she explains to you what the drag lines are, what you've got to look for. You can see here on the pants. So for me, I would suggest this book if you can get it. It's called Pattern Fitting with Confidence with Nancy Zieman. Really a great basic book on fitting and alterations if you are a beginner dressmaker. Now my all-time favorite book, and this is the one I'm always pulling out, if someone phones me and they like, oh, I'm not too sure about something, then this book comes out. Now this one has got 650 large format color photos. So again, it's for commercial patterns. We're talking about commercial patterns today, not if you're pattern designing, but even if you're pattern designing, to see the alterations that is done in this book is actually quite nice. So I'm just going to move on a little bit further where they actually start with doing some fitting. So you'll see everything. There's like practice seeing fitting issues. So you can automatically, can you see they're showing you some fitting issues as well. I didn't actually put anything in there. I just wanted to show you something. So can you see they work a lot with the balance lines as well, horizontal and vertical balance lines, so that you can see if it is slightly off what you're going to be doing. So everything on this one, I'm just going to go through. You can take out your darts a little bit more, your seams. Then if you're doing, for instance, on princess lines there, it's telling you the alterations there, and on your skirt. I just wanted to go to other ones. Can you see everything? If it shows I'm just browsing through it as I'm talking to you, but everything, where is that other one? Let's just find. Can you see also with skirts, because we've all got different figures, it is actually so nice to see, because again you can see the photos of the figures here. You can see how they're measuring, they're working again with horizontal and their vertical balance lines, and again it's a step by step. So for any sewer out there, if you've got to just choose one book on fitting, I'm going to tell you, go for this book. And it just, what I love, it shows you the issue, and after it's shown you the issue, it shows you the correction that you need to make on the pattern pieces. So you can see all of this, and I'm just slowly going, and then after they've done the changes on the sloper, they go back to their pattern and they change all the pattern pieces. So I must say I love this book. It is really great. As I said, with us designing with Schurfer Designs, a lot of these issues are already bypassed because we're working on our body measurements, but with working with commercial patterns, we do get issues and we have to alter that pattern to fit our body. And I think that is where the problem is starting nowadays with dressmakers or new dressmakers. They don't have any idea of how to alter their pattern or how to fit a pattern, and they give up because it's not fitting their body, and they try and make it out of the envelope as it is, and it's really not going to work. So even if you look at this, I mean, this is your bust adjustment that they're doing, and it's so nicely set out. It's all set step by step. So I cannot talk enough about this book. This is, and I'm just quickly flicking through it so you can see every single page. There's photos on alterations. So I'm going to recommend this. This is my #1 book for you on fitting. And even if you're a dressmaker, try and invest in this book. You can order it again from Loot as well. I got mine through Loot, and I had customers now recently that did a class with me that got it. It's called The Complete Photo Guide of Perfect Fitting. And once you can sort out your fitting issues, it becomes a dream almost to sew your clothing. I don't know, you just know already, I've got a forward shoulder, I've got to do a forward shoulder adjustment, or a sloped shoulder, I've got to do that adjustment. Everything is covered in here. And at the end of the day, when we're sewing, it's my relaxing time. I don't want to be stressed out because the pattern is not going to fit. You eventually know, as I said, you're going to know what alterations is needed, and you're going to go and do that. But get into the habit of first looking at your pattern, doing your alterations, and then try a sloper if you have to, especially if you're working with a nice fabric. I must say I've bypassed it before, and then I was sorry and I actually wasted my fabric. So definitely look at this book and get your fitting right when you're sewing with your commercial patterns. So that is my 3 books that I've got on fitting that I wanted to share with you. And if you're going to look at buying yourself a fitting book, I am definitely going to suggest that you get this one, the perfect, the Complete Photo Guide to Perfect Fitting. This is my go-to book on fitting. It really is. It covers so many fitting issues. So I'm going to tell you, go for that. And then I just wanted to mention one other thing. We are getting such a lot of phone calls at the moment from new sewers that's wanting to do dressmaking, which is great. We're seeing this really upward trend going for people that's wanting to sew for themselves. And you know what, that is great. And there's so many resources. We're not at the moment doing courses in the shop or our classes or workshops in the shop, but I am going to do a beginner's dressmaking online, which I will be announcing in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So have a look at that, because we have to get you going. Just learn the techniques. But while you looking at, Google and YouTube is like fantastic. It gives you so much information. Just go to the Schurfer Designs YouTube channel. Go look at the Make It Sew videos that Linda has put there specifically for beginners and intermediate sewers. Gives you a lot of tips and techniques for beginner dressmakers, as I said, to sew. And there's also some fitting videos that you can go and have a look at. So remember, if you're doing this, it's like anything. You're starting slow and you're just going to build up on your knowledge that you've got. So don't get discouraged if you make something. I still make something that lands in the dustbin. Literally lands. I won't even try and work with it further. So even as experienced sewers, we're all getting that. So don't be discouraged as a beginner and think you're never going to get it right. You are going to get it right. Just take it step by step. Don't try and learn everything in one go. Just get that basic information that you would need and just build on it from there. So please go look at YouTube, go look at all the resources out there. Schurfer Designs have even got a learning center. Just Google Schurfer Designs Learning Center. Go look at our article library there. There's quite a lot of articles on fitting as well. I know it's got to do with our Schurfer Designs patterns, but you can also translate it to your commercial patterns. So go and have a look at that. The last thing that I did want to mention is this little book. It's called The Birth of Fashion. It is actually such a fun little book. It's an adult coloring book. I got it in at the shop. We've got about 50 of these, 20 in there, 50 Rand. And for me, it's just such a nice book for relaxing. Sometimes you just need to do something else to relax, and you can just color it in. And I can just imagine if I've done something beautiful like this, or I even transfer it to a small canvas, I can frame it later on and put it in my sewing room on the walls. There's all sorts of things. There is fashion, so you can go wild with all the colors and just give yourself some inspiration. I just apologize. This dog next door, the neighbor's dog, keeps barking today, and he really is driving me crazy because I've been trying to do videos, and every now and then he just starts barking. But I just wanted to show you, I mean, here's some Chanel images as well. So I hope it's zooming in so you can see it. There's some more fashion images. So a great little coloring book for adults if you want to do something different instead of florals and all that. As I said, for me, I'm going to do some of these, and I want to put it maybe in a little frame, and I'm going to put it on my walls in my sewing room, in my sewing area, because they're nice and small, so you can do quite a couple of them as well. In the shop, just to mention you, I must actually take photos and put it on Facebook. We've got a wall where we are putting little fashion sayings and all that. We're framing it and putting it on the wall as well. It just creates such a nice atmosphere for us. So I think that is it from me for this week. I just wanted to talk to you about my books again. And one other thing, I'm going to make this pattern. I am busy with my jeans jacket because we are designing the jeans jacket, so I am sewing that. But I think my next make that I want to do, I need something like this. It's a bird pattern, and I just want to show you the line art if it's going to zoom in there. With the line art, I can't see if it's zooming in. It's zooming in a little bit. Look at that princess seam. It's actually going into the, I'm going to do that. Can you see it's going into the neck area? So for me, that is quite nice. There, the dog is going again next door. I really don't know what's happening today because the dogs in the area have been going crazy. So I really apologize for all that because I know Peter is not going to be able to edit it out for me. But you know what? It's been the whole day that I've been trying, and then I put it off, then I put it on. And I just thought, you know what? Let's get this video done so that I can share all the information with you. But I hope you guys have got a great week. You've got to keep warm. It's been cold in Joburg, so just stay warm, stay safe, and I'll speak to you guys again later.